Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live on every channel that I can think of, except for, you know, I don't know, the TV channel that I'm watching right now, but
HGTV.
HGTV, yeah, that'll be
Lego.
next. Give it to 'em. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Landscaping to the Point. I am your host, Scott. We have Josh underneath me. He decided he wanted to be middle guy today, so we decided to make him middle guy today. And JC lost the end of the what do you call it? I can't talk today. I don't know. I'm all off over this week.
I drew the short straw today.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get at, but I couldn't get straw out of my head right now. So, but yeah, welcome to the show. Hopefully, you guys are watching and listening to us. Short straws are better than short buses, I guess, right? So, but welcome everybody. Hopefully, everybody's having a great week so far. It's been busy all around, I think, for all of us. We got some great stuff to talk about this week. So we're going to start out with the topic of the week. Good morning, everybody on Instagram. Good morning, everybody on YouTube. So the topic of the week is hoarding. Do you guys hoard all your equipment in the shop? Do you have extra equipment? I hate to say it, but I feel like sometimes, I feel like every year I could go through stuff and throw stuff out that just hasn't been used in 10, 20 years. And just like, why did I keep it? You know, I think I got some parts from some mowers that literally I haven't used. And it's like, I don't even have the mower no more. It's like, why do I keep them parts around? You know, so what about you guys? I know, Josh, you got probably a full shop probably of stuff, leftover skid steers sitting there, half parts and all that.
I used to be really bad with that. I'd hold on to like ball tires off skid steers and cars and broken like rakes and hedge trimmers. Like I think it was the end of 2023. I went through one of the shipping container, and I had all these hedge trimmers that we had started taking apart to rebuild. They were old, and they all just went into the dumpster. So I've developed a pretty decent habit at work with just tossing shit once it's gone, as much as I can. Some things I'll hold on to, but I try not to hoard too much. You know what I'm big on is the small parts, like nuts, bolts, clips, C-clips, retaining clips. I hold on to those that I'll probably never fucking use. But I have like coffee cans and jars of like bolts and clips and screws and nuts.
But how long do you keep those for? Like I actually went through this winter and like reduced down on them because I had like just containers full of like rusty old bolts from like 20 years ago that I was like, am I going to use this bolt again? Like, is it really worth keeping? You know, so like, how long would you keep those bolts for?
They'll probably be in my possession until the dam in the ground. My kids will have to get rid of it. They'll be like, oh, he cared about this. We can't get rid of it. So it'll be this fucking jar of bolts that I just thought I was going to use one day that my kids probably would think is sentimental to me or something and sit on a fucking shelf in somebody's house. But dude, I have bolts in my truck on my door jam that just sit there in the pocket that have been there for fucking 5 years. I haven't touched. I haven't used. I'm like, I'll use them one day for something.
Right. JC, now you got a garage. Is it full of all kinds of stuff, and did you have to clean it out for anything?
It was Friday evening. That's kind of a reason for the topic today. But I spent all day yesterday just throwing things out. So I'm going to create a new term. You know, FOMO, fear of missing out.
Right.
I'm going to create phonian, fear of needing it again.
Nice.
And that's because I am a bad hoarder. But the thing is, like once a year, I do a full clean. So every year, I'm always like throwing stuff out, and it's the same thing. Like you always like, man, I don't know when I'm going to need this again. So you hold on to it, but you never need it, and you put it away, and you don't even know where it is when you try to look for it. But now I don't care. I throw it away. I close my eyes and just toss it. That's what I'm in the middle of right now. spent this whole entire weekend just cleaning out my garage, and there's like a big pile in the middle of my driveway right now, waiting to take all that stuff to the dump.
Now, can you call like a dumpster company or like your garbage company, and will they charge extra for that, or you just have to like get rid of it yourself?
There are places around, but they're just like, it's easier to do it yourself.
Okay.
There's a place that Josh and I both go to, Superior Recycling. It's fairly relatively cheap, but I think Josh mentioned it before about the concrete that he had to get rid of. It wasn't too cheap for him, I think, that time. But
Nope.
yeah, it's like when it comes to like parts and stuff like that, I always end up throwing something, and then like later on, I end up buying it again because I needed it, and I didn't realize it then when I cost it that it was something that I needed, and it is what it is. But it's one of those weird stuff where like it's a part that you don't really use all a lot, or a tool you don't really use all a lot, and then you get rid of it, and then something happens in which you're going to need it again.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, do you keep how long do you keep the stuff? I mean, I feel like if it's something you're continuously using, keep it. I guess it's even like Josh said, the small parts. Like, I mean, I have buckets of Echo gas caps, gas tanks, and all that stuff from Echoes that I've tore apart from whole bunch of old Echoes, because I know a lot of that is the same model, so we can just switch them off on parts when we need them. But some of them, I have like I said, I have buckets of mower parts that I don't even like have the mower, and it's like, what do you do with them? It's like, I mean, I'm getting into the point where I buy brand new right away. When one breaks down, I'll buy two, and then when I get rid of the mower, I'm like, why do I have this brand new one here? What is this for? Like, I need to start writing down on the packages what they are, so I know exactly, because then I'm like trying to find the serial number and like, what does this match to? Can I reuse this or not? Like, I don't want to hold on to it if I don't have to.
Yeah, in a perfect world, like you could have everything organized in your garage, have all your certain parts here, this and that. It's just impossible to do, man. It's like you end up piling up a bunch of stuff, and you don't ever remember where you left things the last time, and then you look for it and then you can't find it, so then you buy one, and then you do something stupid later on and you find it again. Now you have two of the same stuff, like parts. Yeah, right now I just throw it away. Now I have to.
Nice. Yeah, so
what are the essentials like for a shop? If you're gonna clean out your garage and you're gonna be in the process of like throwing away all the stuff that you've hoarded throughout the years, what should you keep and what should you throw away? What should be the essential stuff that you have in a garage?
I think Josh wants to keep all his bolts. That's his main thing. He wants to get buried with them. He wants his kids to like just take a bucket full and just dump on top of his casket when he's done. That'd be the first place to find you at. Like, okay, take the metal detector.
Yeah.
Josh,
don't even put a headstone, dear. Just put me on the middle of a field and see if you can find me.
Melt all the bolts and make a steel headstone or something.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah.
Right.
Josh, what are your like? How's your shop set up? Is it organized? Like, do you know where everything is? What are your essentials?
Right now, it's not. I couldn't tell you half for anything where it is right now. Nothing's organized right now. We've been kind of go. We have a sense of where things are, but like essentials, like just like for a shop, everyday essentials, compressor, generator, hand tools, bolts, nuts, screws, tools, shit like that. I mean, that's just kind of like the 101 for us. It's tried to I was for a long time had mobile mechanics that would come through and repair everything, and it's been nonstop of having to repair stuff. Like, we'll find a good guy, and then he starts getting big, and the quality of work goes down, so we have to start fixing things again. But then, like, we'd start getting rid of stuff. Like, we'd bring in mobile mechanics, so we wouldn't need all these tools that we have, and we would get rid of the tools because I didn't want to hoard shit and have shit taking up room, right? Because I used to have a bad history of doing that. We're like, I'll hold on to it. I won't use it for 15 years, but maybe I'll use that torque wrench later. Guess what? I need a torque wrench again now because I got rid of it because I wasn't doing it. So I've started doing a lot more repairs in house just because it's faster. I'm a pretty decent mechanic, I think, and things get done better when I do them. So yeah, I'm gonna have to re-up a lot of my stuff and just start keeping it. But I am looking into kind of a different setup to be a little bit more organized with that stuff, like the small hand tools and hardware and stuff. I would like to keep stuff like brake line, like we just did. My dump truck had. I think I sent you guys the video of the mechanic pad slapped the fucking thing last year, and there was no reason for that to be pad slapped. That rotor was like literally like a dog hair away from cracking, and so I like to keep things like compression fittings, brake lines, weld bar, like all stuff like that, sheet metal that I can use to work with.
How do you like when you clean something out, like, and you have something? How do you decide whether or not you want to throw it away or sell it? And if you do decide to sell it, how do you sell it?
I hate selling stuff. If you've ever noticed or seen anything I sell, I'll offer stuff for free, or I'll put it on Facebook Marketplace. They're usually dirt cheap because I don't want to deal with the haggling. I'll look at something that if I can't make $100 for it, it's free. I won't deal with hagglers. I'll give it away to somebody, or I'll chuck it in the dumpster now, because I used to sit there and I'd put 20 things up on Marketplace for like $20, $60, $80. And then, can you send me 15 pictures of it? Can you send me this? No way. So what we do is in the spring or like late winter, we go into the containers and we pull everything out. And, we go through stuff. Okay, what do we need? What can we get rid of? What hasn't been used? If it's a tool that we know that's somewhat expensive that we'll use for a job, we won't get rid of it because it will pop up every now and then. And sometimes you can't rent them and they're hard to get. Like old weed whackers, I'll probably offer those up. There's guys that rent in the same yard space as me. I'll give it to them for free. And usually it's like, they'll owe you a favor or something. But I'm not big on selling stuff at all. I've given a lot more away for free because I hate dealing with fucking hagglers.
Totally agree with that one. I see. There's always somebody that wants to haggle you on a price on, especially on something that you're trying to get rid of just to get rid of, because you it's still good, but you don't want to have it in. So you want to get rid of it. So
I gotta be honest with you. I'm a massive haggler. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Jeez. So how many toolboxes do you have?
And they're just the one. I gotta add, but that's the thing. I've downsized so much stuff so that I can fit like compactors and saws and stuff in the area where now I'm gonna have to redesign for next year of how I want to do things. So, So I'll probably end up just getting a master box and just rebuilding there and doing a little more in house. I think my end goal by the next 2 or 3 years is to have. Is to bring someone in that has a fairly good mechanical background. They can also do the landscaping work, and when we get to the point where it's busy enough, they can just handle fleet work, like loaders, trucks, skid steers, small equipment. And that way, it's done in house. The tools are there. I got someone that can still, they can be a roadside guy in the winter time for the equipment at the same time as the summertime guy and maybe doing landscape work.
Right. So now, is your shop totally full? That's the one question. Is your shop big enough to where you can continue to have room, or?
I can rent all over my gut, so I don't have a solid physical building. We use containers and we have areas. Finding an actual building out around this area, so I service basically Boston up to Salem, New Hampshire. And that's in some of Metro West. We haven't really tackled Metro West too much now. It's really hard to find a space that has a shop. We want a shop so we can pull stuff in and have things set up with yard space that we can carry mulch, unload our debris, trucks, loaders, skid steers. So that's been the challenge. We're trying to find. I was trying to find something I could buy. But even that is unrealistic with the price of real estate in Massachusetts right now. And then trying to find rental space. I mean, you'll find yard space maybe up to 1,000 square feet for like, $1,500, $2,000 with no water, no electricity, no building.
Wow.
Add a building onto that, you're talking like another $2,800 a month.
Wow, that's expensive too. Yeah.
So it's tough. So I think the way that it's going to end, and this is what sucks, and this is what's going to end up happening. I'm probably going to have a separate location at some point that's just the shop area and then the yard space somewhere else, which I really didn't want to do, but I think that's what it's going to have to come down to.
Wow. Okay.
Because ideally, I would like to have a set in place compressor, lifts, everything in house, so that when something breaks down in the winter, especially with the plow, we do more plow than we do landscape. We can bring it in house and take care of it rather than having to wait for a mobile mechanic. A lot of the times, that piece of equipment or apparatus just goes down, and we have to bring in a sub.
Right.
That's I think it's harder to do with the subs because a lot of guys are getting out of it.
Yeah. I think it's easier if you do have a spot that you can do that. I mean, my shop's, it's a good shop. I need to build a newer one because it's just so small. I mean, when I first built it, it was perfect for what we were doing for. But I like to do, like you said, I like to do a lot of the stuff in the house, especially like brakes and, if there's stuff I can do, I'll go ahead and do it in house. And my trucks are too high. I can't even bring them into the shop, and I don't have enough room in it. The garage door is just barely enough to get through the trucks through it. So it's kind of one of those things. It needs to be taller and wider, so that's something that we're looking at. But I mean, our shop's totally packed with everything we have right now. We have 4 mowers in there and all the equipment, and it's like we need to expand somehow. So
I buy salt from a guy about 20 minutes west of me. Okay. And he has the same idea. He has the same kind of setup. He has yard space with millings and stuff. And he went out and he spent the $20,000 and he bought a steel frame building. Basically, just coming just the walls and the beams and everything, and it goes up. He didn't put a concrete floor because if you put the concrete floor, then it's a parcel. You need a whole. It's a whole thing. It's actually a structure, building structure. So he did asphalt, and they did it on there. And that was kind of a cool idea. And he has a decent amount of space in there, and it works great for what he does. I've actually dropped into him in the winter when I've needed like a quick weld or something he's taken care of. But to build something like that on someone else's property, when I don't know how long I want to be there, I like where I am. Jensen's been up to the yard, I think, once at like nighttime, but it's very offset. It's in a quiet neighborhood. No one knows it's there, but there's nothing there, and it's expensive. Right. So it's like to build that structure on someone else's site and then to have to pay to take it down again and rebuild somewhere else. I'd rather find somewhere I know I could be for the next 10, 15 years.
Right. And I think that's what you need to do is find something that's better. But it's like you said, if prices are so expensive on all the property and all that and renting, it's one of those things. It's a hard thing to find probably in your area.
Well, the thing is, dude, is they put a bill in Massachusetts, especially like in the cities and even in some of like the populated suburban areas. Dude, if you have somewhere where you can put a building up, they're putting a building up. So people that own that commercial space or contractor space, those buildings, those lots are going for millions of dollars right now for contractors to go in and just put up a building in 6 months, everywhere.
Wow. That's expensive, dude. And then you're going to be paying for at least 20 years just to be able to do that. So it's like.
That's why they call it Taxachusetts.
Mm-hmm. Dude, it's bad. And even parts of we're based out of Merrimack Valley, which is 30 minutes north of Boston, but probably about 10 minutes south of the New Hampshire border. And southern New Hampshire is being so developed right now in Salem, New Hampshire, and Pelham that you can't even get in there for a decent amount, or there's no contractor space because they don't want to have you sign leases because they know they're going to try to get a bag off the lot, so it's tough. And then even coming up Metro West for the past 10 years has been going up and up and up and up, but you can't find nothing. So it is tough. Where like you kind of have to buy a piece of undeveloped, undisturbed land and basically knock down woodland and grade.
So if you did that, what's the permits on if you went and bought a land? Let's say you found the land that was cheap enough that you could do it. Do you have a whole bunch of permits on everything? Like I know in our area, like the county I live in, we only have to have a permit for water, and then just a building permit. That's it. But if you go 10 minutes to the east of me, literally you have to have a permit for everything: concrete, electric, water, sewer, everything like
It's
that.
crazy over here, man. Even residential, like just building a 10 by 10 deck, you need a permit for
You need a
everything.
permit for everything, bro. Like,
Wow.
if I'm doing concrete, I need a permit. If you're doing a structure, you need a permit. If it's a structure,
Right.
if it's on the ground like a patio or like a float, even a floating deck, I think you need, because you got footings. Yeah, you need a permit. So like if we were to build, we have to stay in line with Massachusetts Conservation. You have to stay in line with the building department, EPA stuff. There's a lot, man. So, like, I know a guy that bought a plot of land as a contractor space. This guy's a very smart guy. He owns a lawn maintenance company. He's not like an owner operator. He's a very smart businessman, very big into real estate. He owns a contractor space where he rents to all the landscapers. I can't get in there because the guys that have been in there have been in there for 15, 20 years. But he bought a spot. He said, Josh, I think I got a spot. Come to find out, the way that the seller structured the sale, they hit a lot, and it wasn't permitted correctly. So he bought this like $1 million plot of land that he knocked down trees. It was a small contractor space that he expanded like, can you stop? Another 16 acres, and he's in petition right now to be able to keep the lot for what it is. Because apparently he's entering the property on a different side of a different town through a residential area that's not zoned for commercial use. So he didn't do his due diligence, and now he's upside down on it. He might be screwed.
Yeah, that's that. I think you got to make sure, especially if you're into an area, even if you're doing work in an area, and you got to have permits for something like what you're saying, fencing, decks, patios. I think you need to know that stuff before you go in there and start doing work. Because that could come back on you in the long run, especially if you're tearing down trees. Like, I mean, I seen a company up here do the same thing. They tore a bunch of trees down, but they were told originally like that, they had to keep an area for woodland and all that, and they thought, okay, well, we'll tear it down and make it, add some new trees, and they came back and bit them on the butt on the end. So I mean, you got to make sure that you're doing what the county wants or the city wants, and some of these cities are just ridiculous with some of these laws and stuff. So,
and you can see how it is, and because of the amount of building that's been going on in Massachusetts, obviously they're taking away from a lot of the wildlife. You'll be, like I live in the city, and this fucking, I don't know if they're bobcats or what that'll walk down here. You see coyotes in like the city of Boston now because you're digging into their homes and they got nowhere to go. So they're going. Obviously you're in the city. There's rats, so they're going where the food's at. So right. it gets tough, and I understand where why they do what they do, but it's tough, man. You spend a nice bag on a piece of property, and then you got to be told what to do or what you can't do with it. It's shitty.
Oh yeah. JC, what's your essentials in your shop?
Oh man, I think everybody that's in whatever type of business they are, as far as it's like landscape and hardscape and whatever it is, or even mechanics, just having a toolbox, having your main toolbox, your essentials, your hand tools, obviously, all those things, fuel cans. I'm reading these comments too; they're pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, and like we were talking about as far as hoarding stuff. When you get to that point where you have just so much things all over the place, you have to kind of sort out again what your priorities are, and then put all the other crap and throw it away. And
right.
Some type of mechanical knowledge as well too, like being able to fix something, repair something on site if you're able to. Having those tools available. Jack stands are huge, right? Those are the key things you need. Impact, drivers and all those things. Compressor.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Josh if you could find a spot for your shop and have it be where your home is, like on the same property. Would that be the ideal situation?
So when we were looking a few years ago to move from where we were, that was kind of what we were looking for. We were looking for something where we could have a few acres for the homestead, for the home front, and then something we could put like green giant arborvitaes and maybe like a barrier fence, and then build out back, and have that the area. But unfortunately, there was nothing anywhere at the time, and I don't think there really is. In order for me to have done that, I would have had to have gone to like almost central New Hampshire, and that's not somewhere I wanted to be. I'm not hillbilly bred, so I can't do that.
Yeah, but sometimes is it better to be farther away with what you want? I mean, I have everything on my property. My house is on my property, my shop's on my property. I'm a little bit farther away, but I'm out in the country. I have nobody to worry about.
I like the city.
Okay.
I lived in the suburb. I moved from Boston to a suburb back to a city, and I lived in the suburbs for 12, 13 years, and I fucking hated it. I don't like quiet. I'm a noisy person. I'm a loud person. I'm an obnoxious person, so I blend in. I get it. It is nice to get away and have that kind of quiet, but I like the noise. I like the people watch. I would I sacrifice it to a certain distance? Yeah, but I don't want to be. Dude, I looked in the fucking house and it looked like something out of fucking a horror movie. Where I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like Josh, I got well water, a septic tank. Like, what the fuck? Like
the location where you're at now, where your shop is. Does the guy that owned that property have his house next door too, or no?
He did. It was so. They're a nursery, and actually, if you went there when it was dark out, he probably had like 7 acres behind where we had. His family had. They were like a big farm company from like third generation farmers, and he had the house next to it. And when I guess there was like a bubble for the estate was up, him and 2 other brothers, they had to sell the house. That was their proceeds, and then they were supposed to sell the property as well. But he got into it. They did try to put it up, but because of Massachusetts, and it might be like this other was, that property was grandfathered into agriculture. You cannot develop on that land unless it's for agriculture. So they thought they were sitting on a fucking gold mine because at Andover, where the shop is, that's prime real estate right now. So they bought that, say, back in the 20s for fucking $1,000. That property for a developer was well over $1 million. Without even batting an eye, undeveloped virgin land. To come to find out they couldn't do that. In order for them to build, there would have to be something in the form of agriculture. We brought it up where it's like, sell it to a fucking dispensary. Sell it to a dispensary and they'll have a field day with it.
Agriculture, yeah.
Right.
It is. So, but he kept it. And, I offered to buy a section, the section that I'm in, basically that whole back part. I offered to buy that, but they didn't want to subdivide it. So,
yeah. It'd be sometimes it's a pain to subdivide stuff like that.
No, I get it. But he's older. He's like mid-60s, so I think he's right now he's collecting a paycheck from it. Yeah. That I figured it would be nice for him to have some money in his pocket going through. So, but I don't know. It depends on which way we decide to go in the next few years. But I think it's going to come down to there'll be a shop area, or we'll end up finding more yard space, then maybe I want to stay in full time and build. But again, I'm cheap to the idea where I don't want to pay a ton of money for fucking gravel. Right. You know what I mean? Some of the store stuff, but I understand that things are expensive. But I'm in no rush to get going.
Right. I understand. I mean, I think once you get comfortable somewhere like that, and if you got a good rapport with the person that's there and everything, and what's the rush? As long as nothing's happening and nothing's going wrong, why move? So
my biggest thing is investment wise. Like it's like when they say right, but some people are fine renting. You don't have the headaches that a landlord would have or an owner would have. For me, it's like these businesses, these landscape businesses. To me, they're cash flow businesses, and I think I'm pretty on point with that. Where like you don't really get money when you're done with these companies. You know, they everybody thinks like, oh yeah, I'm going to sell my company for $1 million. It's like you sell the assets for $1 million. You know, but like a mower, a bobcat, those aren't assets. Those appreciate. They're assets, but they're appreciating assets. You know, you're building your structure, your cash flow. You know, but you're also selling debt with that. But why not have that property? Because at the end of the day, that's part of your retirement plans. If you sell the company, or if you decide to split things off, that's when you get some money on the back end of the company, is when you have the property. So that's kind of why I push for it too. Is like I control what I want. I can play with it. If I wanted to keep it in cash flow, let's say, you know, I'm almost 40. You know, when I get into my late 50s, if I can't do this anymore, my body shuts down. I could develop that myself and put a house up there and, you know, cash flow that.
Right. Right. Well, okay. So now this year's been really crazy. So there's been lots of weeds popping everywhere. Has it been popping a lot in your beds out there and all over the yards and stuff, guys?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is, if it was the winter or what. I mean, I've seen a lot of different things this year, especially with the plants. A lot of the plants haven't come full bore. Some of the burning bushes by us have just kind of like half grown this year. So I don't know if it's our weather last year or the way the beginning of the spring started. What's your thoughts, guys?
I think it's because of the rain that we had last year, so aggressive every weekend, like we were talking about last week on the podcast. It's just been saturation, and I don't know, some weeds kind of pop up every other year,
Right.
But I think just because of like the moisture, the humidity, you know, and it's just been aggressive. It's been bad everywhere as far as the weeds are controlling them. Like I kind of have even on my own lawn, I just kind of been not up to par as far as how aggressive I go with taking care of the property, and it's been overwhelming. Like every weekend I'm weed whacking, you know, cleaning up. Even on the properties that I still do, on the very few that I do, it grows. We don't have like nice lawns out here, or not many people kind of have much lawns. It's all like weeds, and those are growing as soon as you cut them. Like it's just every week you go out there, it's so high on the mower.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Josh, have you seen a lot in a lot of the places you're taking care of?
Yes, ridiculous. And obviously weeds thrive off heat. In the Northeast, we've been kind of in a drought heat wave for the past 3 weeks, and I think we're going into another heat wave this week, to be honest with you. But you know, we have properties that we've had PMs complain about that we're not taking care of the weeds. You know, in between the curb and the asphalt, the roadway, you know, those little cracks, and we weed whack those and spray those every week, and they're growing back like crazy. I pulled weeds. I let my garden go for a couple of weeks because I was busy. Last week I took a half an hour and I just went around and I pulled them. Yet last night I was out watering some of the plants, and the fucking same weeds are back already 4 inches tall. I mean, if you look at my yard, I don't really put much effort into my lawn. I put it more into my plantings. The grass itself is probably 2 inches tall. The crabgrass is about 4.5, 5 inches right now. So they're thriving. I mean, it's July. July is the time of year that things kick up. But I mean, it's bad this year, man. I mean, we're spraying. We don't normally spray that much, but we're spraying a lot, and we're weed whacking a lot. Like JC was saying, like more than usual, having to chase things down.
Yeah, I mean, I've already gone through at least right now. I'll go through about almost 5 gallons of mix, and I'm probably over that already this year on my Roundup that I spray, and then weed whip liner. I mean, we're already through 3 full 5-pound rolls and already starting the 4th one. And usually we can do 4 in a whole year, and I mean we still got 4 months worth of year left to go. So it's like I'm looking at having to get 2 more rolls just before the end of the year. You know, it's way out of bloom. House of Oddity says that there's a weed bloom in England right now where they're just going like crazy. So I'm wondering if it's just like you said, JC, it's something like every other year you get a whole bunch of weeds. Is this the year that we're going to get tons of weeds, and then next year there's going to be crap? I mean, maybe that's what it's going to be. You know, it's odd. It's very odd. I mean, to see that much The grass. I mean, especially in our area, like I feel like the grass is growing like crazy this year compared to last 2 years. So I mean, it's definitely something changed in the atmosphere. So
Grass is cooked out here.
Yeah.
If you're not irrigating every single day, 2-3 times a day, your grass is cooked, dude. I'm telling you, 90, we'll call it average 92 degrees and humid for close to 3 weeks, probably 4 days a week at least, with like your break being like mid 80s.
Wow. Yeah, see, it's been 80s most of the last couple of weeks here. I mean, we had 1 week that was 90s, and then this week it's been 50s in the morning and 77 during the day. So, I mean, it's odd to be this. I mean, we were just out yesterday, and it was like, man, you got to throw a coat on at night, like to go out and have a bonfire. It's just odd to be able to do that. Feels like fall weather almost.
You can't even see my fire pit right now because it's all weeds growing over it.
As long as you don't got them growing in the middle, okay? Yeah. Maybe you got a tree growing in the middle. As long as there's no tree in the middle, that's the good thing, right?
Dude, I have a weeping cherry I'm looking at right now that has hostas around it. Before I weeded that bed last week, and you couldn't see the hostas. It was that bad. It was fucking bad, dude. I was like, yo, I gotta clean this up.
Okay, so here you go. Since your neighbors know that you do lawn care, do you let stuff get behind, and do you think they are like, what the hell? Like, this guy does lawn care?
No, I still, I mean, despite my lack of attention to my lawn, it's still far superior than what they're doing on their property. So I'm the one.
He's the staple of the neighborhood.
Ooh, JC, nice. Josh, I know, lets his weeds go forever to where they're over top of the bushes, but
his property looks good.
Yeah,
but it's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, it'll look like an abandoned crack house at times, but as soon as I cut that lawn and edge everything up and weed the beds, like JC says, it kind of exceeds what a lot of people are doing. Some people, people are just cutting it, and that's it. I sit there, I try to crispen up the edges, weed the beds. My wife does an amazing job with the garden and the perennials.
I think that's what matters. I mean, I think in the end, I mean, yeah, we get busy at times, and you can't always get to it all the time right away. But when we do actually get in there and do it, I mean, you make it look good, and that's, I think we put more into it than a lot of the neighbors do sometimes, like you said. Yeah. So, boys, we've had a great topic so far. So, Josh, you got anything that you want to add today? He's thinking. He's out there today. He needs a haircut. That's what it is. Brain's fried.
He's going back to bed for a nap.
He's tired.
I wish. I gotta work on my wife's car.
Oh man!
Cut my grass.
Do you know where all your tools are?
What?
Do you know where all your tools are so that when you work on
I got a bag with me that hopefully that's everything I need, because if not, I'll be calling you later.
Oh.
I've been trying to find a decent podcast to listen to, like during the day, especially my rides. I'm in the truck a lot, and I've been listening to everybody's, well, at least like a few minutes of each one. I think one of my top ones right now is the Snow Jobs podcast. It's new, but I kind of like that one. But I listened across the board, man, and some of them are just. Someone might say the same about us, but man, they're all the same fucking thing. Jesus Christ, there's no originality. I listen to your boy fucking Paul. I listen to Brian's. I listen to fucking one of the guys that used to be on the UAG. I listen to Julio's, and I can't find anything that fucking sticks out of Pops. How to Hardscape is another good one. He's good, but I don't like.
I think out of all the guys that do the podcast in the green industry, like you got your Brian, you got your Paul Jameson, you got these guys. Julio to me has the best one. I don't know.
I need boom, 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 boom. Like he it's just. I don't want to say it without it sounding mean. It's too slow paced for my energy level. Like it takes me down. I need you to go.
So is it okay? So do you want more like eye-grabbing topics, or do you want like more something that's like nonstop? Like I know, like you said, a lot of them are all the same because it seems like they all talk about the same thing on a regular basis. You know, is it like?
But the delivery's not even different. Like the questions and like it's like the same fucking thing. And I get it. That's what most podcasts are. But it's like switch up the way you ask the question, or ask the question that nobody wants to ask. You know, like yeah, like we see the successes. Ask more. Like if we have a guy on, like I want to know more about the failures in your business. That's what gets me. When Scott goes up, yeah, Scott's doing great. I can fucking see that on social media. I see him around the neighborhood. But I want to know, you know, when you couldn't pay your fucking mortgage and your wife was threatening to leave you because your bills weren't paid, and
she threatened to leave me last night. So I mean, that's normal. I mean, that's at least once a week. I mean, that's what we got to do, you know.
Because that guy's mom sat on your face. That's why she was too happy about that.
Yeah.
No, but like I want to hear the nitty gritty. You know,
Right.
like when you couldn't make payroll, or you know, you had a $3,000 payroll bill for the week and you had $500 in your account. What were you doing? Like that's like you don't really hear that side of the things. You hear the success. How did you build up? When did you build your first truck? How do you know your numbers? Do you know this? It's like, all right, like you're fucking beating the dead horse, guys. Like, come on, like ask the questions they're not normally asked that people can relate to.
That's why I listen to Dave Ramsey, and the reason why I listen to him is because I like listening to what the problems that other people have. And like,
Yes.
They have some messed up life situations. Like, and it's kind of crazy. Not just the financial aspect of things, but like the stuff that happened between their family members and like divorces, and like they get into detail with all that stuff. And it's very interesting to listen to, not only just for the financial aspect of it, but just for like the Jerry Springer portion of it. You know?
But you know what's crazy with the Dave Ramsey, and I agree with that. Like it's definitely the T, right? It's with the spell the T. But it's like sometimes the answers he gives them the simplest answer that they just go, "Are you like what? Are you fucking kidding me?" And even in your own head, you go, "I kind of relate to that shit." And that's how simple it was to figure that out. Like you overthink a process, and that's what I think there's value in certain shows is like. You know, we talk about whatever on here. And we kind of, you know, go on like, you know, an ADD fucking moment with most of our topics, you know, but that's great because you jump around and it's all over the place. But sometimes it's like you hear that simple answer and you're like, holy crap, it's more relatable. Like not everybody can relate to the success of a business. Like a lot of people struggle in their business. So it's like when you hear that, it's like cool. But you have the same fucking guy. Like what's the guy from fucking with the ugly shoes there? The fucking Jack dude.
The ugly shoe.
Oh, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
No. The lawn care guy. Ballard products.
Ballard,
That guy.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I listened. I went after. I wanted to find out who he was for a while, and I listened to a few of the podcasts, and I think it was like Brian's and a few of this, and he kind of saw the direction the podcast was going in, and kind of took the direction and steered the ship, and kind of went down that area of like, hey, listen, things aren't always fucking. Great, like go back to when it wasn't great and when you couldn't make payroll and stuff. Like that's the shit you want to hear because I think that's more relatable to people in any business or self-employed person that's coming up, as you can relate to that and you kind of have that. Okay, like wow, JC went through that too. You know, I can reach out, maybe ask him. He's had that experience, and it's a little easier. I like hearing that. You know.
So you feel like okay. So there's a lot of them that do that. Do you feel like they feel everybody that listens to them thinks that they're going to be that millionaire, like, you know, Brian, you know, because he's asking all these good questions to these people about like how they came up, or you feel like it'd be better to have both setups where they tell you about your failures and what they did to get to that point?
I think it'd be a better in-depth, you know, okay. One guy I like watching, I don't follow him religiously, is Troy Clark. Right.
No
guy in Michigan. Everybody knows where he is and it's kind of his story and how he started. But I want to know more about the before that the actual struggles you went through and going in depth and how to avoid those. Everybody, the social proof is there with the guy. The guy does a lot. Like there's proof that he is. I wouldn't say he's successful, right? He succeeded in those years of doing it. But I want to know that come up before that because everybody that's interviewed him, yeah, like you get the gist, you learn the business, but. What about those struggles early on, you know, before you made it or before you even that middle ground, before you were a $500,000 a year company? You know, what were the struggles? How did you overcome them? Like, what did you get rid of? Like, were there things that you didn't do when you wanted to do? Like this, I feel like there's certain things you can ask guys. Like, some of these guys do. We do this as kind of, well, JC and I do this as fucking around on a Sunday with it, But I feel like doing this professionally, like you're a journalist in a sense, where like you're gonna do your investigation, you want to get as much out there. So why wouldn't you listen to like the Paul Jamesons, the Bryans, the Hunters, like the Julios, the How to Hardscapes, and figure out, okay, these questions have all been asked the same fucking way. And yeah, one guy will ask the question a little bit, the delivery will be better than the last guy, but why not ask the uncomfortable questions?
Right.
Brian Fulton's been interviewed. Not one fucking time has anybody asked him awkward, uncomfortable questions.
They're afraid to. Everybody, I think, is afraid to ask him that question.
But this is what I mean. It's like, but this is the shit that people want to know, and I feel like that, depending on your answer across the board with anybody, I think that grows your audience when people see that truth and that vulnerability that you're able to ask that question, and as the interviewee answer that question, and not think twice about it.
Right. Right. Okay. I think that them are good things because I think people need to know that stuff. Definitely.
Well, it's hard to find, and Joe Rogan's decent to an extent because he will ask those uncomfortable questions sometimes. He'll come out and he'll throw it out there, but he's also just fucking out there sometimes.
Right.
He had a good interview with Andrew Huberman. Is a scientist at Columbia that came on. You have to listen to the podcast, but they kind of went back and forth. They were butting heads, and it actually was a very, very informal and interesting interview. But yeah, I like to see more people asking uncomfortable questions to guys about, when you weren't making it, what were you going? Like, how many times did you get repoed? How many bill collectors? How many bridges did you burn when you couldn't pay a vendor or something?
Yeah. That sounds good. That would be good topic.
Joe Rogan.
Huh?
I've never listened to Joe Rogan.
I'm not religious. I think I've listened to like 3 or 4 podcasts. Joe Rogan is not like, I don't. He's not appealing to me. Right. I know he does. He will sometimes get out there and ask those questions nobody wants to ask, but it's just not fully.
Like you said, I think sometimes he's off the wall too. Like he just, he'll have a good topic and then he'll just take off with it some other way.
That's the best way because it's organic, right? I hate to use that word organic, but it is kind of basically what it becomes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of them are all the same. That's why I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I just, some of them I've heard before and I've been on a lot, and I feel like they're all the same. They're all asking the same people the same questions. And then they stick with them same people and. Some of them move to Florida and think that they run businesses that, they never ran. So, that's how it is, I guess. I don't know.
But I feel like that's why I like the Snow Jobs podcast, because depending on who it is, they still kind of bow down a little bit when it's a more known attendee or guest. Right. But they tend to ask the questions that nobody wants to ask. They put it out and, They will open up to like failures in businesses with interviewees, guests, or whatever. So I like that, and like they're not so formal. Like they curse, they shoot the shit. It's like shop talk. Right.
I think you got to have that. Every other word's cuss out of your mouth. So we're good.
What about like the off-topic stuff? Because I know like some people tell me they listen to like the true crime podcasts, like these mystery stuff, or like.
Yeah, I do some of that.
Yeah.
What ones do you like on that? Is there a certain?
My wife sends me a lot of them. I don't know the names of them, so I'll find like for instance, here I don't know if you guys follow like that Cameron Reed trial. Me and JC were talking about this. I had to go through like 5 different podcasts before I found one that actually, got my attention, and I went through that. I'll do Bigger Pockets podcast. I listened to that. I've done Order of Man in the past, like when they first started. That was more like a kind of men's accountability channel and stuff I really liked. That helped me a lot. I do Andy Frisella a little bit, but even I don't like when someone has like just set views, whether it's political or what. I like someone that can look at a whole dynamic of a picture and talk about it. So I have a hard time listening to some of those guys, but try.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good podcasts out there, but there's a lot that are just the same. And I think that's you gotta change stuff up. And I think ours is pretty good because we're always changing stuff up. There's always different topics. We're all off the wall sometimes with our ADHD, but that's all right. It's totally all right. So
what are the rest of the plans for today, guys? What do you guys got going on?
me, I don't know. I got an irrigation job that I got to fix up at my shop at my house in the garden. I'm regretting it, trying to get it all taken care of. But I need to get out there. I had a company send me a controller, so I got to hook up the controller and test it out for them. And I mean, there's tons of stuff to do here at my place. It's just it never ends. So I start like one project and then I get my ADHD and jump off to another project and then by the end of the day I've done like 3 projects, maybe started another project and never finished one of them. So I mean it's one of those things. So but yeah, that's my day. Your guys?
I'm going right back to the garage to finish up doing what I have to do and close my eyes and throw stuff away. So the dump is closed today, so I got to go early this week to get rid of all that stuff. So I'm probably gonna end up power washing things if I get everything kind of
nice and shiny
to begin with. Yeah. Yep.
Are you gonna make it pretty? You gonna do the floor up and everything?
Yeah, I have to. It's all jacked up.
It's one of those things. Never ends.
I asked Josh to help me. He doesn't want to help.
Yeah.
What? That's not true. What the fuck? I told you guys before, I can't get this fucking guy to hang out, let alone ask for help. Jesus Christ. Hey, JC, you want to hang out? Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, I don't know if they've done it already, but they're moving bagel time.
They did. They're moving over to Pleasant.
Is it already done?
I don't know if they're. Oh, I haven't been there. I stayed away. I got to stay away for a little bit. I don't know if they open, but the signage is there. If
Scott ever comes to Worcester, we got to take him there. I kind of take responsibility for getting Josh hooked on this place when he first started going there.
He said it, and I was like, dude.
Yeah.
It was not lying though. There'll be like I would drive by there every day to get to the highway to work, and there'd be a fucking line around the building. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
I was kind of like his crack dealer. Like I gave him a free sample, and then he kept on coming.
That's how it always happens. Yeah.
Bagels,
I gotta get the bagels.
Bagels. Time to make the bagels.
Yeah. What are you up to, Josh? You're gonna mow your grass, work on your wife's car?
No, I gotta do my wife's car. She's got a trip she's taking next week, so I think replace stabilizer links, change the oil. Hopefully that only takes about an hour and doesn't turn into like a fucking half a day or a fucking week-long thing. Yeah. Try to cut the grass, and I actually have I'm behind. I have like 7 bids I have to submit and a bunch of quotes. So I need to try to get on that because my deadline I think is like the 26th. So I have a lot of that work to do, and then I'm working on a lot of snow stuff. I have a couple companies that want to sub me all their work. That are scaling back. That's the climate. These companies call me up and say we don't want to do it. We can't find the help. We don't want to have to invest in the equipment. Well, you throw us a number. They're like, we'd like to be around 20%, but we understand that that's probably not going to be feasible. But throw us a number and we'll see. So I'm trying to see what I can work out with that. I'm trying to get a lot of that stuff locked up by second week of August. So
nice. Well, that's good. That's very good. Well, guys, it was a very great topic today. I want to thank everybody for being on, everybody for watching, listening to us. Go check out our sponsor, Cujo, and next week we might have something even better. So Josh might be able to finally finish that car and get it done in 5 seconds. And JC's going to have a nice shop. Right, JC?
I hope so.
Yep, it's going to be nice and clean.
Then I can start hanging out with Josh and not make excuses.
Yeah, you should. You should. Yeah.
I feel like that annoying chick that's trying to like hang out with this dude is like, I'm too nice. Just want to tell you I'm not interested, but what the fuck?
People that know me on social media and like GI in the expo, they think I'm just I'm an antisocial, man. I really am. A lot of people say that, but I actually mean it. Josh will tell you.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
just
maybe
just for reference, I live, I think, 15 minutes from this motherfucker.
I hate to say it, JC. I think you're more social than Josh is because he hasn't been to Equip yet and still won't make the decision to go. So, see, I think he's the one that's antisocial. He's never been to Equip. So
yeah, but when you get him there, you can't get him. You probably won't be able to get him to leave.
Oh no, he'll leave. He'll be like, "Oh fuck this shit, I'm out of here." Like, walk away. There's too much stuff
loses here. With your fucking yard toys.
I can't understand these people in their southern accent. I'm out of here.
Yeah. There's too many people here. I can't do anything. Forget it. See, this is what's gonna happen. See, so I think you're good. I think it's Josh. See, it's Josh that doesn't want to hang out. I get it.
What is this grits and racism? What the fuck?
Well, thank you guys for all.